Good evening and welcome back to Moving Forward. This evening, my special guest is a good friend of mine, Dr. Perry Pooler. He's the chairman of the St. Joseph constituency for the COP, and I'd like to welcome him now. Good evening, Dr. Pooler, or should I say Perry?
Perry, of course. Wonderful to be here, Nigel.
Pleasure having you. So let's start, okay? Give us a little bit of background about yourself and the St. Joseph constituency.
Well, I think I am from the St. Joseph constituency. I am born and raised in Mount Lambert and have lived there all my life. And I must admit, it's a very pleasant place to have grown up. There's a wonderful savanna right around, not too far from me. So I've spent some time in that savanna, in my boyhood days. But in terms of it's only as I became chairman of the constituency, I really began to explore the entire of St. Joseph. And St. Joseph is a very diverse area. We have Arangways, which has a certain dynamic. Mount Lambert, of course, is residential, a lovely place. I went to Mount Lambert RC. There are places like Mount Dore and Mount Hope, which are more on the northern hilly areas. You have communities, which unplanned settlements such as the Bangladesh community. And then you have St. Joseph proper. Now, St. Joseph is a very, very important community in the St. Joseph constituency. It was the first capital of Trinidad and Tobago. It was established about 100 years after Columbus. And I think they're very, very important relics in St. Joseph that I think the nation is not too familiar with. And I think there's a lot of opportunity to develop St. Joseph and have people know more about St. Joseph. Of course, we know there's Valsayn and some other areas. So each community has its own dynamic and its own beauty. And so I'm very, very proud to be working in the St. Joseph community.
Seems like St. Joseph is a nice menage where you have a little bit of everybody.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
You tend to have people from all economic brackets. It also seems to have people from a wide variety in terms of ethnic composition as well. So it seems to be one of those very, very dynamic constituencies and a very important electoral constituency as well. It's marginal, isn't it?
It's marginal. Over the years, it's gone to the NAR, the PNM, the UNC. The ethnic component of it, it is diverse. But I think we have to understand that we're in an era now where the public is very much well aware and very educated to a great extent about politics and about what their needs are. So I don't think at the end of the day, I think the people of St. Joseph will vote for people who attend to their needs and who put forward progressive suggestions. I have a lot of faith in the St. Joseph community, and I think I can see in the future, St. Joseph will be a very, very important constituency, as it always is. But I do respect the St. Joseph voter.
Seems like there's a lot of passion coming from you and St. Joseph.
Yes, I do enjoy. I have learned a lot just being in the constituency and meeting people. I think there are a lot of interested people in the community. There are people who need assistance, and there are people who are willing to give assistance, and they're just a lovely people that I've met. And I think being in the COP and on as a chairman, it has given me that opportunity to actually go out and meet people, and I'm grateful for it.
Yes. What led you to join the COP and become a chairman of the COP?
Well, I think that's a long story, actually. I think having grown up, you could say middle-class family, you always look out there and you always see people in need. And you always wonder, well, why is it that with how many billions of dollars that have been flowing through this economy over the years, why it is that there's still people in need? And I think I've always had that drive in me to try to help people. I think at my core, I like helping people. And to be honest, I was at the University of the West Indies. I was part of the postgraduate association.
Good days.
Yes, very good days. You remember those
Yes,
well.
I remember those days of activism.
Yeah,
with the PGA.
and yes, and we had to be a student activist. And then subsequently, I wanted to get into the NGO movement, and I formed an NGO group called the Empowerment Society of Trinidad and Tobago. And we tried to develop policy positions because we wanted to improve things, and we didn't want to just sit back and wait for things to happen. We wanted to be proactive. And I really do feel that at the time of the formation of the COP, before that, there was a lot of activism and a lot of people were moving. There was a movement towards a better Trinidad and Tobago. And I think when the COP formed, what it was the political expression, the political vehicle of a wider movement, which I feel very, very at home with, because having been and met the people who are involved in the COP, I consider them family because they're really warm and loving, and they're really good people. So I'm actually very happy to be a part of the political, the COP.
Excellent. And I'm sure the COP is very happy to have you as well, Perry. One thing I must say is that you have a passion for activism, okay? And that passion for activism got you to go through quite a number of things and accomplish quite a number of things within the St. Joseph constituency. But before we discuss those things, tell me a little bit about your executive.
Well, I must admit, I am blessed to have some excellent people on my executive. One of the persons that I truly consider, I consider my mentor is Pastor Nurse. He is a very wise man who is a pastor of his church, and he really does express a lot. What he says to me actually is that if you want things to get better, you have to change the rules of the game. And that's something I've really taken to heart. I think he's really contributed a lot to my development. I think the previous chairman of St. Joseph was Sulaiman Juman, who was a very honorable and noble and kind-hearted person. And I think I'm grateful for that guidance. We have Melissa Sylvester, who's our field operations officer, hardest worker you could ever imagine, very down to earth, knows the people. We have Rosemary Gobin, our secretary. We have Kerry Charles, a very interested youth. There's so many people that are part of the executive. So I consider myself very lucky to have a hardworking executive.
So what particular plans do you all have coming up? Or before we get to that actually, let's talk a little bit about some of the things that you would have done before briefly. Just give us a little overhead about you and your executive and how it is that you all interact together.
Well, we got elected, I think, about April 2011. So it's about 1 year now that we've been elected. And I think we have to look at, we're in a period where elections are over, and there are no elections, major elections on the horizon. So you have to keep people active and interested in the party. But more importantly, our focus has really been more on social activities in terms of helping people. So one of the things that we started doing, we started off just by finding people who needed help and connecting them to people who could give help. So one of the things we've done actually, there's a person in Bangladesh community, which is a unplanned community just outside Wassa, and this woman was unable to see, and she had a daughter, 3 daughters actually, and one in particular would have to hold her hand and walk her about and do everything for her. So what we did, we connected her through Dr. Surendra Rampasad of the COP and Dr. Ronnie Boulder, a very kind eye doctor, eye surgeon, and we actually got her cataract surgery for free. And it's amazing to see the transformation. This woman now, she's in her 80s, about 70s or 80s, and she can walk, she can cook, And it allows the daughter now to be able to pursue and go and work. And two of the daughters, additional daughters, they have challenges as well. But it really has transformed that family. And I'm just very, very proud to have been a part of something so special. And once again, I am so happy that I would have met Dr. Bowler and his contribution, because I know out there, they are kind people. There are people who are willing to give, and there are people who they just want an opportunity to give. And it may not be in terms of cash, it may be in terms of services, anything that they can do. Yes, I'm seeing some pictures on the monitor. That is Miss Jules just after receiving the surgery. And I think, and that is a picture of Dr. Bowler, the surgeon who performed the surgery, and Miss Jules subsequently after. And this is her about 6 months later, very, very happy. So as I said, I'm very, very proud to have played a role by connecting someone who needed help with somebody who could give help.
Excellent. Seems like that is what the COP is about, transforming lives. We're going to take a break and we'll return with Dr. Bowler. So we'll go to a break now and we'll see you shortly, viewers. Thank you again.